Semantic primes in the natural semantic metalanguage. A PowerPoint presentation for independent learning produced by Dr. Jock. This independent learning module on semantic primes and natural semantic metalanguage comprises a PowerPoint presentation and a quiz. The module is based on Lecture 2 of Cliff Goddard's 10 lectures on natural semantic metalanguage. The PowerPoint presentation has 15 slides, and it gives you an overview of semantic primes, what they are, why they are useful for understanding meaning, and the natural semantic metalanguage. It is followed by a quiz. Please watch this PowerPoint presentation and complete the quiz asynchronously on Canvas before week 3. By the end of the module, you should understand what NSM is about before we practice its use in class. Read from page 25 to the end of the second paragraph on page 31. Let us begin with some context. A language co-evolves with the culture in which it is used. Consequently, most word meanings in a language do not have exact matches in other languages. They are thus foreign to other languages. It follows that every language expresses meanings and ideas that are not sayable in a precise manner in another language. In summary, every language expresses meanings and ideas that are language and culture specific. Because of this, when we use a language to describe word meanings from another language, we often introduce foreign ideas in the description. When this happens, we cannot understand meanings in another language the way native speakers of that language understand them. We therefore need to be careful when we use a language to talk about ideas conceived in another language. We do not want to interpret the object of description through the lens of the language used to describe it. For example, when we use English words to describe a Chinese meaning, we need to make sure that we do not end up understanding the Chinese meaning through the English words used to describe it. When we use language X to describe language or culture Y, we end up seeing what we describe from the perspective of language X. We end up with an ethnocentric view of what we want to understand. Consider an example. We may say in English, Chinese people living in big cities in China are stressed. However, we do not ask, can we say that precisely in Mandarin? Does Mandarin have a semantic equivalent of the English word stress? If Chinese does not have a semantic equivalent of the English word stress, which it doesn't, we end up understanding an aspect of Chinese culture ethnocentrically from an English perspective. English is a world language. Many native speakers of English view the world ethnocentrically from an English perspective and assume incorrectly that English meanings are universal. They assume incorrectly that what is sayable in English is sayable in a precise manner in other languages. Although this is true of speakers of any language, the problem is particularly acute with English speakers, because English is a dominant world language. To truly understand meanings from another language or culture, we need to try to minimize ethnocentrism. We can do this by using words that have close semantic counterparts in other languages. In this way, what we say about another culture in English would be sayable in the language of that culture. It follows that if we want to formulate an English message intended for an audience that includes speakers of different languages via translation, the English used ought to be maximally cross-translatable. When engaging in intercultural communication, we need to be mindful of semantic differences across cultures. How then do we use English to describe another language or culture in a way that minimizes ethnocentrism? How do we formulate a message in English that may be translated to other languages with maximal precision? The trick is to use words whose meanings are shared by all languages. If we limit ourselves to such words, we will not impose English meanings on whatever we want to describe or explain cross-culturally. And we will be able to formulate messages that are maximally translatable. The question that many scholars rarely contemplate is whether there are meanings, embodied in words or phrases, that are universal. Decades of linguistic research conducted by Anna Wiersbicke, Cliff Goddard, Bert Peters, and Associates suggest that there are. Their studies have shown that every language has words whose meanings are the semantic equivalents of those of the English. I, you, think, know, want, feel, do, say, and others. These meanings are semantic universals. When we use semantic universals to describe meanings in any language, we do not impose foreign ideas on the object of study. Studies have also shown that the meanings of semantic universals cannot be stated in simpler terms. The meanings cannot be further clarified. These meanings or the words that embody them are called semantic primes. Semantic universals are therefore also semantic primes. Their meanings are clear and universal. Decades of research have suggested that there are over 60 semantic primes. Please refer to Figure 8 on page 40 for the table of semantic primes. Read from the third paragraph from the bottom of page 52, beginning with the final part of this afternoon's presentation, to the end of the chapter on page 62. We need universal combinations of semantic primes to describe ideas cross-culturally. In English grammar, meaningful combinations of words are called clauses and sentences. We need the equivalents of universal clauses and sentences for semantic primes. Examples of universal combinations of semantic primes are found on the next slide. Here are examples of combinations that are expected to be universal. This someone thinks about something like this. It is like this. People can know it. This someone can think something good about someone else. This someone can feel something good towards someone else. Something happened to someone. Because of this someone felt something bad. It is expected that sentences with the same meanings as those above can be generated in all languages. When we use a language to describe aspects of a language or culture, we are using it as a metalanguage. Semantic primes and their universal combinations constitute a metalanguage called Natural Semantic Metalanguage or NSM. There are as many versions of NSM as there are languages. When we use NSM to describe meaning from another language or culture, we do not impose foreign ideas on the description. When we use NSM, we can hope to access the native or local perspective of any culture and understand that culture from the inside. When we use NSM to explain complex ideas, the explanation can be accessed by speakers of any language via translation with maximal precision. However, NSM is not easy to use for non-specialists. Instead, non-specialists working in English could consider using Minimal English, an offshoot of NSM. Minimal English is a lot easier for non-specialists. Minimal English comprises semantic primes and bigger words called semantic molecules that are expected to be accessible to a targeted audience. It uses simple grammatical structures. There are as many versions of minimal languages as there are languages, such as Minimal Chinese, Minimal Thai, Minimal Italian, which are largely cross-translatable. If you want to be maximally precise, use NSM. However, if you want to disseminate an important message to a linguistically diverse audience quickly, use Minimal English. Semantic molecules are not the same as semantic primes. Semantic molecules are words with complex meanings, which means they are definable. They are used to explain more complex words. For example, we need the complex idea of rain to explain the idea of an umbrella, and so rain serves as a semantic molecule for the meaning of umbrella. We need the semantic molecule hand to explain the meaning of words like hold, hit, and gloves. And we need feet to explain the meaning of words like walk, run, shoes, and socks. Some semantic molecules are universal while others are not. Can you think of other semantic molecules? We have now come to the end of this independent learning module. By now, you should understand ethnocentrism, semantic primes and universals, universal combinations of semantic primes, NSM, and minimal English. There will be opportunities for you to ask questions and practice capturing meanings using NSM in class. Thank you for viewing this presentation. Please complete the quiz before week 3. Bye for now. Here is the reference section.